Everyone, this video is going to look at chapter 5.5, which covers the side-side-side congruence theorem. So let's write that down. Side-side-side congruence theorem. All right. So basically, the side-side-side congruence theorem says that if you've got two triangles that have three pairs of congruent sides, then the triangles themselves are going to be congruent. So we've got four sets of triangles here, and we're going to try to determine which ones are congruent, and we're going to be applying the side-side-side theorem. Right, so question number one, we see that, here, why don't we highlight, we've got one pair of congruent sides. We've got a second pair of congruent sides. And then there's a third pair of congruent sides. Okay. So all I'm doing here is I'm just looking for matching tick marks. We have single tick marks here. We have single tick marks here. So I could have mixed and matched those sides. And then we have the double tick marks there. Okay. All right. So these triangles are congruent. Now it's just a matter of making sure that they've been named in the correct order. So the first triangle goes A, B, C. So that's A to B is yellow, then B to C is orange. Okay. And then the second triangle is named EDC. EDC, again, that's yellow, then orange. Okay. So yeah, looks like the names of the triangles are appropriate. They're written in the same order. Okay. So that checks out okay. Let's look at question number two, and I'll zoom in now. Right, so we have the names of two triangles, and we have the figure here. Right off the bat, we can see that there's one pair of congruent sides, the single tick mark. There's a second pair of congruent sides, a double tick mark. And then these triangles share a side. So because of the reflexive property, right, that shared side is going to be another pair of congruent sides. So these triangles do have three pairs of congruent sides. Now it's just a matter of making sure that the order of the letters matches correctly. So let's look at the first one. It goes KG. So I'll do that in yellow. And the other triangle goes HJ. So HJ we'll do in yellow as well. And yes, those two sides are a pair, right? They both have the double tick mark. Right. And then going back here, then the next, so we did KG, then it's GH. So GH will do orange. And then here it would go JK next. JK would be in orange. So yes, those two sides are a matching pair. And then the third side, of course, would be the last pair. So this works out correctly as well. We can highlight that side twice because it belongs to both triangles. Right. So from the figure, it's pretty clear that we have congruent triangles. Really, I think what these questions are asking us to do is making sure that the triangles have been named correctly. All right. So number three is probably the most obvious one, right? We have 1, 2, 3 pairs of sides. So it's pretty clear that these triangles are congruent. Now let's just check if they're named correctly. Okay. So the first triangle goes UV. So we'll highlight that in yellow. Second triangle goes XY. We'll highlight that in yellow. Okay. So far, so good, right? Those two sides do form a pair. Okay. Let's go back to the name of the first triangle. If we look at the next two letters, VW. Okay. VW would be that side. Here it would go YZ. YZ is that side. Okay. Those two sides don't form a pair, right? This is a triple tick mark and this is a double tick mark. Okay. So the naming here is incorrect. The triangles are congruent. They just have been named incorrectly. Okay. So let's go ahead and name these triangles. correctly. I'll call the first one, let's go VWX. I'll go 1, 2, 3, and over here I'll go 1, 2, 3, right? It's all about being consistent when you name triangles. So triangle VWU is congruent to triangle XZY. And it really helped that these triangles were in the same orientation, right? They're turned the same way. Okay, our last diagram here. So again, you look at the picture, you can see that we have congruent triangles. There's 3 pairs of congruent sides. There's the single tick marks, the double tick marks, and the triple tick marks. Okay, now let's just check the naming. All right, so the first 2 letters here are RS. The first 2 letters here are RP. Okay, so those 2 sides form a pair. The last 2 letters are ST. Here, the last 2 letters are PQ. Okay, those 2 sides form a pair. And then there's just the 3rd side that's left. Okay, so here the names check out. They are appropriate. The letters are in the same order for both triangles. Right. So for all 4 of these questions, right, we had congruent triangles, and what we were just checking is if they were named correctly. So in 3 cases, they were named correctly. In 1 case, the letters were a little bit mixed up, and so we went ahead and just rewrote it in the correct order. Sorry, I didn't realize there was another question on this page. All right, so determine whether the figure here is stable and explain your reasoning. So here we've got, well, a wooden figure, I guess, but it's constructed out of triangles, right? So we have a triangle here and a triangle here. And the thing about triangles is that you can't, if you build a triangle out of wood, you won't be able to change its shape. Right? Its shape would have to stay put. You can't kind of twist it or rotate it any. Okay, it's not going to wobble. So I would say yes, this figure is stable, and the reason is because it is constructed out of triangles. Now, if we just had a figure like this that didn't have kind of that diagonal support, right, then it could wobble, right? It could be this way, or it could wobble that way, right? It wouldn't be stable, wouldn't be in a fixed position. Okay, so having that diagonal support forces the figure to be made of triangles, and triangles are stable, stable figures, stable shapes.